Hello, welcome to our channel. In this video, we will look at how we can decide if two lines are parallel or perpendicular. Here is the basic formula. So basically, we have two lines parallel if they have the same slope. If we consider M1 to be the slope of the first line and M2 to be the slope of the second line, then two lines are parallel if M1 equals M2. And similarly, two lines are perpendicular if we have the product of their slopes equal to -1. Sometimes instead of saying M1 times M2 equals -1, we also say M1 equals -1 by M2. So now let's look at some examples. So here is the first pair of lines. We want to decide if they are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So for that, all we need to do is look at their slopes. So we'll call M1 for the slope of the first line, line 1. Since it is already given in the form y equals mx plus b, we see that slope m is -3. So we have M1 to be -3. And we need to do some work to find M2. So we basically want to write the second equation in the form y equals mx plus b to find M2. So we can do that by isolating y on one side. For that, let's first move -x and 6 to the other side. Then it will look like x minus 6 on the other side. We are basically adding x to both sides and subtracting 6 from both sides. And next, you can multiply both sides by 1/3, or basically divide both sides by 3, the same thing. So 3y by 3 will give us y on this side. And here you have x by 3. And here you have -6 by 3, which is -2. So from here, we can write this further as y equals 1/3 x minus 2. So M2 is 1/3. So the slope of the second line is 1/3. The first question we ask is if M1 is equal to M2. Obviously not. -3 is not equal to 1/3. So they are not parallel since M1 is not equal to M2. The next question we ask is if their product is -1. So we can quickly calculate their product and see if we get that to be -1. And -3 times 1/3 is definitely -1. So this is true. That means the second condition here, this one is true. That means the lines are perpendicular. Two lines are perpendicular. So again, all we did here is we found slope of these two lines, and we checked if they are parallel by just checking if the slopes are the same, if M1 equals M2. And we checked if the two lines are perpendicular by checking if their product is -1, if the product of their slopes is -1. So in this case, the second condition, M1 times M2 equals -1, came out to be true. So we conclude that the two lines are perpendicular. So let's look at the next example. So here we are given these two lines, 3x minus 2y equals 12, and the line containing the points 7, 1 and 5, -2. So in both cases, we want to look at the slopes. So to find M1, we need to look at slope of this line. So let's quickly do that. Again, to find the slope of this line, we want to isolate y on one side, subtract 12 from both sides, and let's add 2y to both sides. So we get 3x minus 12 equals 2y. So basically, I'm moving this -2y to the other side. So that becomes positive 2y, and moving that 12 to the other side. That will make it -12. Now the last part, we can just divide both sides by 2, since we want to get rid of that 2 over here. So that will give us, on this side, we get just y equals, on that side, we have 3x over 2, which is 3 by 2x. negative 12 by 2, which is negative 6. So from here, if you compare this with y equals mx plus b, then it looks like slope m1 for the first line is 3 by 2. So we got the first slope to be 3 by 2. Now let's try to find the slope of the second one. So m2. Now here we are not given equation of line, but we are given 2 points on the line. So we can use the formula for slope right away, which is y2 minus y1. I'm going to write the formula real quick here. Divide by x2 minus x1. We can consider the first pair to be x1, y1, and the second pair to be x2, y2. Then we get negative 2 minus 1, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 5 minus 7. So it looks like this becomes negative 3 on the top, negative 2 minus negative 1. And in the denominator is 5 minus 7, which is negative 2. So negative 3 over negative 2 is 3 over 2. So 3 by 2 is the slope of the second line. Now we look at these two conditions. First, we check if m1 equal to m2. And 3 by 2 and 3 by 2, they are definitely the same. So this is true. And since we already got this conclusion that two slopes are equal, we don't even need to worry about the second part. So we conclude that the two lines are parallel since they have the same slope. Let's look at this example now. Again, we need to find the slopes m1 and m2 for these two lines. So first, let's work on the first line. To find the slope, we need to isolate y on one side. So we can first add 2x to both sides and subtract 15 from both sides. So 2x minus 15, 5y equals 2x minus 15. Then we can divide both sides by 5 since we want to have just y on the left side. So when you do that, you get just y on the left side. And on the right, you have 2x over 5, which is same as saying 2 by 5x minus 15 by 5 is 3. So from here, we can see that slope is 2 by 5 if you compare with y equals mx plus b. So if you compare with this, the basic format, y equals mx plus b, m is 2 by 5. So m1 is 2 by 5. Slope of the first line is 2 by 5. Next, let's look at the second line. Let's try to find the slope of the second line. We have 5x minus 2y equals 20. So again, we want to isolate y over here. So for that, we can move this 2y to the right and move this 20 to the left. So that will look like 5x minus 20 equals 2y. And then we can divide both sides by 2. So 5x over 2 is 5 by 2x minus 20 over 2 is 10 equals y. Again, compare this with y equals mx plus b. So here the second slope comes out to be 5 by 2. Slope is always the coefficient of x when written in this form. So the second slope is 5 by 2. Now we look at these two conditions. The first condition is m1 equal to m2. So 2 by 5 is definitely not equal to 5 by 2. So this is not true. The second condition is the product -1. So let's quickly test that. We have m1 2 by 5 and m2 5 by 2. So it looks like 2's get canceled out, 5's get canceled out, and we get 1, which is not -1. So this is also not true. We need -1. So we need the product to be -1, but here we got 1. So this is also not true. So these two lines are neither parallel nor perpendicular. So maybe they go something like this, neither parallel nor perpendicular. Right, so here we have another example, a little different one. Here we want to figure out equation of the line going through the point 3, 2 and parallel to this line, 4x plus 2y minus 10 equals 0. So let's suppose this line has a graph something like this one. And I'm going to just put this point 3, 2 somewhere here. It doesn't have to be accurate, just for the purpose of visualizing the situation. So I'm going to put this point 3, 2 over here. So we want to find equation of line that goes through 3, 2 and parallel to this given line. So maybe something like this. So this is the line whose equation we need to figure out. Now, one thing to note here that we can use is that since these two lines are parallel, they have the same slope. That means if we know the slope of one of the two lines, then we have the slope of the other line also. Now, since the equation of this line is given, we can quickly find the slope. For that, we just need to isolate y on one side. So that equation becomes 2y equals negative 4x plus 10 when you isolate y on one side. Then you can divide both sides by 2. You get y equals negative 2x when you have negative 4 by 2. And when you have 10 by 2, you have 5. So compare this with y equals mx plus b. We see that slope m is negative 2. So that is the slope of this line. That means this is the slope of the line we want to figure out also. So we found that the slope is negative 2. Now going back to the problem, we need to find equation of the line going through this point and slope negative 2. So this is our goal, to find equation of a line going through point 3, 2 and slope negative 2. So we know the point, we know a point on the line and we know slope. So we can use the point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So we can consider these to be x1, y1, the coordinates of the given point, and this slope is m. So we have everything we need for this formula. So y minus y1 is 2 equals m is negative 2, x minus x1 is 3. All right, so the rest is just simplifying. Y minus 2 equals negative 2x plus 6. When you distribute this negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Now we can add 2 to both sides. Then that will give you just y on the left side equals negative 2x plus 8. So this is the equation of this line, the line that problem is asking about. Here is the next example. It's very similar to the previous one, but here it talks about perpendicular lines instead of parallel lines. So here we are given this line and we want to find equation of line that is perpendicular to this given line and contains the point 3, 2. So let's say this line has a graph something like this one, and the line we want to find is perpendicular to this line and contains the point 3, 2. So let's put 3, 2 over here, and we want to look at the line that goes through 3, 2 and perpendicular to the given line. So maybe something like this. All right, so now we want to find equation of this line here. So we already know a point on the line. If we can find slope, then we have the equation. So our goal here is to figure out the slope of the line the problem is talking about, the slope of this line. For that, we can use the slope of the line perpendicular to it, the given line. We can easily find the slope of given line. Since we have the equation given, all we need to do is isolate y on one side. So for that, we get 2y equals negative 4x plus 10 when you move that 4x and 10 to the other side. And then you can divide both sides by 2. You get y equals negative 2x plus 5. So that means this is the slope. So slope of this line is -2. Now we need to figure out the slope of that line. But we know that if two lines are perpendicular, then their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. So for this line, slope must be -1 over whatever the slope of the given line is, 1 over -2. So this becomes +1/2. So the slope of the line we want to figure out is 1/2. So we have slope, we have point. We can use point slope form to figure out the equation of the line. Y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Y minus y1 is 2, m is 1/2, x minus x1 is 3. So we have the equation. The rest is just simplifying. Y minus 2 equals 1/2 x minus 3/2 when you distribute 1/2. And then you can add 2 to both sides. So on this side, you have y minus 2 plus 2, which is just 2, equals 1/2 x as it is, -3/2 plus 2. 2 is like 4/2, so 4/2 minus 3/2 is 1/2 plus 1/2. So this is the equation of the line. All right, this is all we have in this video. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you.